Welcome to another episode of Design on Purpose, a podcast where we talk about planet Earth as a garden and a work of art for all life. And it's been a little minute since I've done one of these, but I'm very pleased today to have on the show a very special guest, Courtney, otherwise known as the Taekwondo technician. Welcome, Courtney.
Thanks for having me.
So good to have you here in the Beach Pig, which just by a stroke of divine intervention was closed today for the guys having a little bit of a holiday for Songkran. And we've managed to scoop up this little shack to record, so pretty pleased about that. And just before we get into our convo here, I just like to say the usual formalities such as like and subscribe on our channels. So it's Design on Purpose on YouTube. You can find us on Instagram at Design on Purpose. TikTok, we're TikToking as well at Design on Purpose. And I think that's all of them. Yeah, so if you don't already subscribe to the channel, please do, because we're looking forward to putting out some more content more regularly from Phuket, Thailand, and anywhere else we might find ourselves. So, Courtney, you've probably been one of the most interesting people I've met since I've been in Thailand. For a young person, got a very interesting story. Do you want to just start off by sharing a little bit about yourself, or how do you even describe what you do?
Well, hi guys, my name is Courtney. I'm 26 years old, and I got introduced as the Taekwondo technician. I used to actually represent Great Britain for Taekwondo as a minus 49 kilogram senior female. Yep, which is very light.
Wow, that's super light.
Yeah, I weigh about 60 now, and I'm 5'7". So,
wow.
Just to put it into perspective, it was a bit of a weight cut. And I've just always had a passion for Taekwondo, and then, came out to visit Thailand to Bang Tao Muay Thai MMA, and fell in love with just jumping into MMA, jiu-jitsu, and just really diving in.
It's pretty wild. So I want to get more into like the experience here in Phuket, because it's been something quite different for me as well coming out here, and I've learnt a lot, and I've had some really interesting experiences. But can you tell us just before, and there's obviously more to the picture here, like it's not just the Taekwondo stuff that you're doing, right? There's Courtney's also very, very good at social media, personal branding, and we'll talk a bit more about that, because I do think that is one of the solutions to some of the challenges we're facing in humanity, because I do think that we need stronger voices and people with opinions to come forward and share their story. It's very inspiring. So what about the competing for Great Britain? What is that exactly? What, did you go to the Olympics or something or anything?
So I haven't gone to the Olympics. It was in my my pathway was to be going to the Olympics.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, because of the weight making at such a light weight, I actually came across a lot of health implications, which I'm now, suffering with now. But that was pretty much, I was on the journey. So I got accepted into the junior academy when I was about 16, 17. And I flew across the world to fight in Latvia. I got selected for the Europeans for the juniors.
Oh, wow.
And then as soon as I turned 18, I pretty much got accepted into the Great British Academy. Had to relocate to Manchester, and I trained full-time with the other full-time athletes.
Oh, wow. So what does Taekwondo training involve? It's lots of kicking, isn't it?
It's pretty much
it just
99% kicking. You can punch, but it has to be a clear shot in and out. But training for me used to consist of about 2 hours on a morning, maybe some S&C training in the gym. For me, on the bike, obviously, because I was heavy for that time. And then some sort of afternoon training 5 days a week, pretty much. For as long as my body would let me.
Yeah. Can I just ask you as well, like, can you just sit in the mic, just point it to yourself, to your mouth a bit more, like, so it's like an ice cream, right? So, there you go. Just so we get less roosters and more of your voice in there. So, okay, that's interesting. And then, so the health stuff, I mean, we talk a lot, I don't know why, it's some weird red thread in this podcast for some reason around gut health. It just comes through, just goes to show no matter who you talk to, it's some part, it's so important to life. Like we had a guy here on the pod who was a soil expert, and that he was making these connections between the gut and health and food, the food and your soil health and everything. And it's been this crazy red thread. But like if your gut health is out, it's just you don't realize how much it impacts your whole life.
100%. And for me, it's not just the gut health issues from making such a weight. Like the hormones as a woman are all over the place. So, and that also doesn't help your gut. So it's all interlinked. It's
like
all
your
tied
endocrine
together.
system, right?
Yeah. If your body's under stress, no matter what stress, whether that's physical, mental, your gut has its own brain and it will react in certain ways to show you it's not right.
Oh, wow. And when did you realize that
Sorry.
Oh, someone just walked in
It's
here.
closed today.
Yeah, sorry, mate.
Sorry.
We're just...
Okay, no worries.
Thailand. So when did you realize that in that journey that the Taekwondo was having an impact on your health?
When I was in the Great British Academy, to be fair, I hit a point where I was struggling to make the weight for every competition, and I would be in contact with my nutritionist, who I'm still in contact with now. He's amazing. To be honest, he was the only person that used to listen to me because I knew my body, and I was saying to him, I trust the process, I trust him, but I know my body and I know I'm going to fail weight. Like I just had this one competition. I went to the university games in Taipei.
Yeah.
And I was with all these friends, everyone from universities all over the world. It was almost like the Commonwealth Games. And I was going back and forth with him and I was saying, hey, like something is wrong, something's different.
Yeah.
But no one was listening to me. And I failed weigh-in by like 0.02 or something ridiculous, like 200 grams. And I tried everything to make that weight and it just was not possible. My body was actually gaining fat and it was storing anything because it was in starvation mode. So even though I was the lightest I've ever been, my body fat percentage was actually the highest, didn't have a menstrual cycle, all of the things that you were supposed to be doing as a woman and just a human was breaking down. Like my hair was falling out, couldn't sleep. Yeah, all of those. It's just crazy when I like look back at it, to be fair.
Oh, wow. And what was the journey like from there? Because I imagine like when you are so invested in a sport, it becomes like your part of your identity, really, doesn't it? And it still is, really.
Still is, yeah.
but what's like? How was that going through that change of realizing that you had to kind of step away from that lifestyle and like was there some kind of like identity crisis around that, or how did you find that change?
It was really difficult to kind of just get released and then no one helped you after that point. You have a meeting every month with the director of GB Taekwondo.
Okay.
And every month you'd go in there and you'd have a chat and you'd be like, how are things going? What's been happening? And the minute I failed weigh-in, I was like penalized for it. Instead of being like, let's talk about all these health implications you've clearly like brought to our attention, it was, why didn't you make weight? You failed weigh-in. Why didn't you, like that's your job and you're failing at your job. And that was really hard. So when I had my meeting, instead of being like, oh, let's look at all these things, how can we help? It was just like, hey, we've all spoken and because of all these health implications, we're going to have to let you go. So I got released from the academy due to these health reasons rather than like, as an organization to actually help you and make you better. I also didn't need to fight at 49 kilograms to go to the Olympics.
Yeah,
I could have fought at what we call is Olympic weight, which is Olympic weights are 49 kilograms. Then world weights is you have them in between. So I could have been fighting at 53 kilos and still gaining Olympic points. I only needed to cut down 4 major events, which may have been 3 to 6 times a year, not 20 times a year at 49 kilograms.
I feel like that's something that I've learned, like just at the gym, the weight classes, like you see a lot of these fighters as well, like sometimes maybe fighting in the wrong weight class and then they move a weight class and then the results are better, maybe because they just needed that to carry that extra weight for health or whatever, or, so I find that's probably quite a common.
Yeah, Taekwondo is
issue.
very common. Most sports as well, like it's the reach. So punch reach and like kicking reach in Taekwondo, the taller you are, generally, the more advantage you have on your opponent. If you're using your legs, you think about it, you just lean back and your head's out of the way.
You've definitely got some reach on you.
Yeah. So for me in 49s, I used to go in there and my coach and I at the time, we would laugh and we'd be like, well, you know, you're the tallest one in the category again. But it was an advantage for me. And that's what I think the director of GB Taekwondo at the time was like, oh, this is clearly going to be good for us. She's going to win medals at this weight.
Okay.
But didn't actually think about
your health.
How long and like, can I sustain that? No,
Yeah.
the answer is no. Men typically as well hold more muscle mass. So when they cut weight, you see they go in the sauna and they can cut a lot of water weight.
Yeah.
As women, around your menstrual cycle, you can hold up to 3 kilograms extra of just water weight, water retention throughout your body during like parts of the cycle.
Oh, wow.
So trying to make
different,
weight
yeah.
during that time is like impossible.
So yeah, it's not really conducive to a very healthy system function of your body, is it?
No.
So then, like, what about the social media stuff, right? Because that's a whole nother aspect to your life. You know, building personal brands, and you put a lot of work in building your personal brand and building a personal brand around Taekwondo technique, which is a very niche. I mean, how many people even do Taekwondo in the world?
Lot.
Oh, there's a lot?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not as big as obviously MMA, UFC, but once you're in that world, then you realize how big it is.
Okay. I've never seen it, but I guess I haven't really been in the martial arts scene very long.
Yeah, going off your last question about like the identity kind of crisis, I think when I got released from the academy, I went back to university and I finished my degree in sports science.
Okay.
And it was a good distraction. I just got my head down. I just went to the gym, but like just to be healthy. I wasn't training for any specific reason. And then after that, I actually decided to buy a one-way ticket to Australia.
Oh my gosh.
Just because why not? And at some point, I think it would have been about... Crikey, mate. But it would have been 2022 where I was like, I was working for a betting company and I hated it. It was awful. I was in customer service. And then I looked at myself and I was like, I had this feeling of doing something with my social media and helping the world and just having a big account and doing something with it. But I had no idea what it looked like at the time. So I invested in someone to help me with that. And that didn't work out. I spent a lot of money on that, but they didn't speak English very well. And it was like having a really shitty English teacher and
you got to relate
English.
you got to have the right teacher, right? The teacher might have been great, but you got to be a right fit.
Yeah. So what I did was I told myself, if you want this lifestyle that you've visioned, you need to do something about it. So I set myself a goal of posting 1 reel a day for 30 days. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just posting a reel. I would wake up at 2 a.m. thinking it was the perfect time to go viral. And I learned so much during that month. And I continued to use what I had learned and then implement it. And in 3 months, I went from 35,000 stagnant followers to over 100,000 in 3 months.
You hear about people doing this all the time, and like, I don't know, I've done this, but I think there's so many other factors to it. You know, it's like I really do wonder how people grow these big followings.
There is so much. We post for the sake of posting sometimes, rather than thinking about everything that we post has a purpose. So whether that's to funnel someone to somewhere else, or it's to teach someone, or to educate, or give someone put a smile on someone's face.
Yeah.
Every time we post, it's for a reason, and we can optimize everything that all of these social media platforms give us. So Instagram have certain features. We can optimize hashtags, cover photos, like captions. At first, I would just be like, what, I can't be bothered with a caption. And then I was like, but I can optimize that caption. So now it's just ticking off that checklist and it's second nature.
Do you think it's better to post less and optimize each post? Or do you think it's just like more the merrier, or like, is it quality over quantity?
I would say it's quality over quantity. However, you do need trial and error. So in order to learn what is quality, you sometimes need quantity. Does that make sense? Like you have to post a
It's
shitty...
both, really, isn't it?
You have to post a shitty video to realize it was shit, because you have it to compare against other posts. So you need, the more information you can gather, the better quality you can post, because you understand your audience and you understand that niche and what they're after, and then you double down on what works for you.
Yeah.
What works for you won't work for me, or it might not, and vice versa.
Yeah, okay. Growing a podcast account's pretty damn hard, I have to say. And I mean, look, and everyone out, if you do listen to the Design on Purpose podcast, you know it hasn't been very consistent. Hasn't been one out for a while, and obviously you can see it's just me here today, so I have been dealing with some things, and hence why I came out here to Phuket in Thailand. I came out here to train MMA for a few months, and I've ended up staying out here for indefinitely at the moment. And I've met some really amazing people like Courtney at this gym, and we've been training, and it's a great place to go to work on your mental health and well-being. I mean, it's such great mindsets around, including yours. Very inspiring. But sorry about, if you can as well, you can hear the chickens around. There's lots
we got pets.
There's a little kitten that is running around here too. It's if you aren't watching the video, if you're seeing this, if you're hearing this on Spotify, then definitely worth checking out the YouTube. It's a bit of a scene here, and we've had to put the fans on because it's freaking hot here.
Sorry, we're not open today.
Sorry, not open.
Yeah. Sorry.
No eating here. Sorry.
Not today.
Not today. We're recording a podcast.
We should have a little tally.
Oh yeah, how many people come in here? Yeah. Everyone wants to come to the Beach Pig, so definitely recommend it if you
Close
come
today,
to
but come tomorrow.
Close today, yeah, come tomorrow, yeah. Tomorrow. So Courtney, just back on that social media stuff, because it is interesting. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that have definitely tried or are definitely aspiring to grow their own channel. And it's like I've obviously spent like 12 years like in graphic, like, you know, design and branding and systems architecture and things like that. A lot of work around purpose and brand identity, visual identity. And something that I definitely am noticing is around brand accounts. And I think that brand accounts are actually dead for companies, right? It's actually more about personal brands.
Yeah.
Like you're almost better off building a personal brand and then building the company off the back of your personal brand.
Yeah.
And what I've also seen is that there's a trend within companies who are actually investing in their people's personal brands and LinkedIn's and Instagrams and building out their company's personal brands as part of their marketing strategy, rather, you know, taking a chunk of their marketing budget and actually doing that. Yeah. What do you think is the power of personal brand? What does it enable?
So anything that we buy is usually because it makes us feel a certain way. So if we buy some shoes or we buy a jumper, or we go shopping, we buy a new phone, it makes us feel something. So people buy from people as well. The thing about social media is if you can relate to someone, it makes you feel a certain way. You're already connected to that person. That person might work for a company. You're not connecting to the company or the company's product. You connect with that person or their journey or their story. So there are so many PTs out there. Look at how many personal trainers there are. You select that personal trainer because you relate to them, or you see something in them that you have been through, or their story, or they might have 2 children the same age as your children. It's all a connection between a person. So that's why a lot of the companies and brands now are actually using personal brands to then sell the products, because they can connect with the community. You can't connect to a company. It's not a person. It's just...
Yeah, it's like, you know, like who's more, who do you engage with more, like Steve Jobs or Apple? You know, I think people really like Steve Jobs, and maybe they're kind of starting to get a bit annoyed with Apple, maybe. I don't know, I am sometimes. But I think, yeah, there's definitely that human aspect to it, right? And I think especially now, like, you know, with AI generated content
Yeah.
and you know, faceless companies, and there's probably going to be AI companies that are just run by AI. It's like,
Yeah.
I think maybe we're all craving this like human connection and like raw content cutting through the all this really polished kind of
Yeah.
what, like, is that, do you see that that's something that's just going to keep growing into the future, or like where do you see this?
Definitely, like AI is definitely going to be this new upcoming thing and creating content for you. But I generally think that what's going to still do well is organic content. Like if you're trying to sell something or you have a product, it has to come from you. I still think people are going to buy because it makes you feel a certain way. I don't believe AI is going to make me feel a certain way. But if like we connect on a certain level, I'm not going to connect with a computer.
But I mean, like, what I mean is, like, when you're scrolling and you see something that's a bit more raw, you're like, oh, real person. But like when something's really polished or like,
Yeah.
it doesn't have the same kind of connection. It's almost like people are looking for lo-fi or something like that. I don't know.
The AI, again, it's just not making you feel a certain way.
Yeah.
When you see, like if I see your post or you see my post, you connect because we're human.
Yeah.
You know, we're on the same level, whereas AI is just like, there's no connection.
How important do you think it is to have a message in your personal brand? Like, do you think that, because like you've been doing a lot of work with people in building their social media profiles, and you've got this this course that you've been developing, and you've had some real wins with some people. It's pretty amazing. And just to give people context again, like Courtney and I are training at this MMA gym here in Phuket. And so there's a lot of fighters and people in that world around, and Courtney's been working with people to build up their personal brands, and I'll let you talk about to that in a moment. But like when people are going through this program with you, I noticed that like initially you've got people kind of talking about their purpose and their passions, and that's kind of like where we start with brands. That's all part of your identity. It's like what you actually really love to do. What's your message? What value can you add to somebody? What golden nuggets do you have that you can share? And people might think they don't have anything.
You do.
Yeah. So talk to that a bit. Like, what have you noticed and you've seen, like with and the insights that people have had through this program with you?
Yeah, you pretty much actually nailed it. So it's like, what value can you add to someone's life? And there are people sat at home right now being like, I have no value. I live a boring life. I work a 9 to 5. But we all have a story. We all have a journey, and we all have something that someone else would buy or someone else would listen to and take your advice. Like my story of like being in martial arts, Taekwondo, and having to weight cut, people come to me for like Taekwondo advice, hence why I've done, want to educate people on how to be better at Taekwondo and martial arts. But like your niche, like it is beyond my knowledge. Like I would pay for your products and services. We all have something. Maybe it's your grandma's favorite recipe. There's something that you have that someone else doesn't have. And that actually comes from that's like self-love and not knowing your worth and your value.
Yeah.
But we all have something to offer. So if you have the right coach and we sat down together and I ask you, what is your mission? Why do you have a podcast? Why do you do what you do? Why do you wake up every day? Like everyone has an answer. Yeah,
because you were kind of like, I thought it was a cool place to start was that Ikagi thing, right?
And yeah.
So what's the Ikagi? And can you explain that?
So
it's a Japanese thing, right?
Yeah, it's a Japanese term. It's called the Ikigai, and it's like
Ikigai. I'm not saying it right. That sounds like Ikigai.
Ikigai, yeah, but it's it's a really good book, and it describes how we find our purpose. So that's 4, by the way. We're closed. So
we're counting the people walking in here. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's finding your purpose, and it goes through a lot of examples like sumo wrestlers. I had no idea, but sumo wrestlers have like a hierarchy of almost like when they start off as a sumo wrestler, they're pretty much a slave for the sumo wrestlers that are doing well, they carry their luggage, they take food to them, whereas they live in a little shack. Whereas
I've seen this. They have a special name, like those special sumos. They're very like high up in Japanese society.
Yeah.
It's like high society.
And it's crazy. And you think, oh, so these guys that are down at their bottom end and they know that, they love it and they don't quit. They keep doing it until retirement. And then but they're happy because they know that's their purpose.
The Japanese are very interesting like that. I had a housemate for a while. It was a chef. And like every day he would come home and he would like sharpen all of his knives. And like, it was like
that's his ikigai.
Service to humanity was being a chef.
It's funny how you mentioned chefs, sushi chefs. They talk about that example. They also talk about how the fishermen go out at 2 a.m. every morning because they want to find the perfect fish, the perfect tuna. Like, that is a hard life to live, but they do it every single day. And if they don't feel like themselves. They don't feel like they're doing what they were put on this earth to do. That's their ikigai.
Yeah, there's something in that, isn't there? Like being in full service.
Yeah.
You know, it's like with the podcast even, you know, it's like, oh, like I really struggled with this podcast, and obviously I'm doing this on my own now. And I'm like, you know, what about this podcast? And it's like, no, you know, there's no, for me, it's not about the outcome here. It's actually it's the devotion to this, to this work, because it's actually like capturing all these really cool stories from people with really strong messages and things for people to, you know, to brighten people's lives and give some wisdom out there.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, that's actually what it is. It's actually the purpose for me is actually that bringing those stories in, and it's how it makes you as a person in actually completing the task.
Yeah, it makes you feel something. It makes you feel happy. Taekwondo is my ikigai. Like, yes, I'm not competing professionally, but without Taekwondo, and my passion is help. I've never charged for any of my videos on Instagram. It's all free. It's all, I just want to share my passion, my ikigai with other people. Without that, I would probably feel very lost.
Yeah.
I have obviously now dived into social media mentoring, but I would never give up my Taekwondo. I couldn't. I would feel very lost.
We've had some pretty interesting people very scared of your kicks in the gym these days, like some big stars I've seen. We've had a pretty crazy last few months. Like we've had like, who was in there? Georges St. Pierre,
John Jones, Craig Jones. If you want to watch it, quite an interesting YouTube video, definitely go check out Craig Jones's YouTube channel and Bangtao Morte MMA. Craig and I rolled together, and it's pretty interesting. That's all I'm going to say.
There's a lot of limbs getting about. That's all I got to say.
Pretzel making. Yeah, it's...
Yeah, that's funny.
Met some incredible people.
Yeah, we have, hey, and it's an amazing place. But just on that, so like, what's the journey there? Like when someone works with you and then they find out their purpose, which for us it's really like about, you know, in the work that I do around identity, it's like you got to have the identity before you have then you have the vision of what you want to create or where you want to go, and then you need a place to like set sail to, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got to have the intent. And the intent, and this model that I'm talking about here it's a MG Taylor model. It's the creative process model, and this is all there's an objective side and there's a subjective side. And so what I'm talking about now is the site where it's like identity, vision, and then your intent. It's about how long you can actually hold that vision of the future potential of that idea or version of yourself, and being consistent in showing up, because like you're saying, like
you have to show up.
You have to consistently post.
Yeah.
Not something that I've been great at, admittedly. It's not easy to do. It's not easy to do. Next thing you get a project or something, then you got to spend time doing your client work, and then like I don't think people even realize how long podcasts. I mean, you saw us setting up today. I mean, this shit takes freaking ages. Like you set up, you plan, you record,
Oh, it's a process.
Then you got to edit, then you got to cut the reels, then you got to do the thumbnails, then you got to do the captions, and there's a lot of work involved in producing quality content.
Yeah.
Which I think for some people can be a bit like, too much.
Yeah.
It's too much. So what advice do you have? Like, how do you keep consistent with content creation?
So you kind of asked two questions. The first one was like the journey of how you would find yourself.
You're not a genie, are you? You're not going to cap three.
No, but I have an 8-week program, which you know about because we've spoken about it. But during the 8 weeks, you have to start with that clarification of what is your mission? What is your goal? Without that, you can't create good quality content. It's confusing. How are you supposed to create a vision that you have no idea what this vision looks like?
Yeah.
What is your end goal? So you have to start with goal setting. Everyone thinks, I learned that in high school, but you have to have goals. You need to understand why you've set those goals. Content has a funnel. If you have a goal of making 10K, then you create content around making 10K. Within the course as well, when it comes to, people get very anxious about, they go, Courtney, I don't know what to post. I don't know when to post. I don't know how to create things. I've broken the program down into each module that teaches you everything you need to know. It's bulletproof. So module 3, which is probably my favorite, is building your content empire. We look at your goals. We look at your mission. We look at the content pillars. So my content pillars, Taekwondo, MMA, traveling, friendship, all these things you can create content around, and it gives you a clear vision. I had a client today, actually. This is just like, and within an hour, she had 110 content ideas. And before we jumped on the call,
get out there, girl. Start filming.
Yeah, but that's almost like, a quarter of the year. Like if she wanted to post every single day, it's in front of her now. It's in manageable chunks. The book I was reading by Noah Kagan, he mentions now, not how. Don't look at the fact that you need to post every single day or you want to post X amount of times per week. Just go and record something and post it. You just have to do it. So a lot of the stuff I teach is broken down into manageable chunks.
Yeah.
Whether you're used to recording or not, I teach you everything you need to know, and it's not scary. It shouldn't be a scary process or an anxious process. You should, if you know your goal, you should feel like recording this podcast isn't stressful, or it shouldn't be.
I actually love doing it when I do it. Like, it's so fun. Like, but before I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a bit of a stress. Is everything going to work out? Or like getting a bit nervous on the camera, whatever.
All of that's normal. But because it's your ikigai and you have passion in it, you'll go out of your way to record 20 hours a week or however many hours a week. If you don't love it and it's not bringing you joy, you really do need to sit down and be like, is that sustainable?
Like, are you talking about like the type of content that you're producing?
Type of content. Maybe you had a business idea. You can have a great business idea, but if it's not something that brings you joy, happiness, you won't go out of your way to create content. It's not sustainable, and people can see through the camera.
And what is life anyway if you're doing something that you're not enjoying? Like,
you only have one life.
Well, I don't know. Well, one life as Courtney, the Taekwondo technician, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of believe in reincarnation and all that, but yeah, one life. I believe as this person, and it's like you want to be enjoying, and it's funny, like when you do enjoy something, you really get into like a flow state with it.
Yeah.
Like when I get into editing the podcasts, like I really enjoy it. Like it's like a full flow. Like I can do it for hours and like just sit down somewhere down by the beach. I mean, we live in this most amazing tropical island paradise, and like there's so many beautiful places to just go and just, my Thai auntie here goes tuck tuck tuck, you're working all the time, tuck tuck tuck. Let's just go and sit by the beach and edit.
And that's what people want. That's the lifestyle they want. When they look at my social media and yours, people go, wow, you're living your best life. You're just by the beaches all day. It's like, you can have both. You still need to put in the work. But because it brings you joy, you can sit down with a coffee and edit, and then that brings you income.
Would you say you're a digital nomad?
Yeah. I'm going to have to say, yeah. I mean,
are you a digital nomad?
Yeah, haven't lived in the UK for 5 years. I'm not a citizen there. Well, I'm a citizen, but don't live there for 5 years. I'm not paying tax or whatever there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm definitely in a lot of loopholes.
Okay. So that's the other thing. It's like what I'm finding as well, like, is balancing and, talking for some people out there who are maybe digital nomads or whatever. That's probably going to be a space that's growing more and more with, COVID and now digital working, remote working and all that. I see a really big, opportunity as well opening up there to facilitate teams and cross-functional teams working remotely. It's an interesting space. But when you are a digital nomad, I don't know why I keep doing that, inverted commas. What is it? Air quotes. But it's a real thing, isn't it? But if you are a digital nomad, how do you manage your time with, because it's a bit of a unique thing, isn't it? Like, you kind of got to manage, because you're in kind of like a holiday environment, and it's very easy. Like, I could literally be training like 5 hours a day at the gym
and not do work.
Yeah. But I mean, I like doing work, but it's like you're having to kind of build in this. So how do you do that? Because you're quite disciplined. I always see you meeting with people. You're always on your computer and doing sessions with people in the gym. And how do you manage that?
One, it's a passion.
Yeah.
Like, I do want to help as many people have the lifestyle that they want to create for themselves. But two, I think the percentage of people that want to go out and be a digital nomad or have their own business, we have a different way of thinking. Like, we're never satisfied, or not satisfied, but settling for something. Like, you could make $1,000 a month and be like, oh, I'm done. But we typically want more. We want to grow. We want to invest in ourselves. We want to do better. So for me to sit down and be like, oh, you could make X amount and be okay, I don't want to be okay. I want to provide my family back in South Africa and in the UK, like, flights to see their family and do all of these things. And that gives me the motivation and drive to be better.
Yeah.
And without that drive, you wouldn't do more work because you'd be happy, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, it kind of like, there's different motivations, I guess. Like I'm saying there, it's like when I was talking about the pod, it's not really about the outcome, it's like, how far can I take this podcast in the sense of where can I travel? Who will I meet? How will I grow as a person? What, like I saw this quote, but I think it was David Bowie I saw online today, and it was something about like just walking out enough off to into the water where your feet are just not touching the sand. That's a really great place to be, because it's a place where you're challenged and you're like, oh, how do I manage this? Because you're going to have to grow and rise to the challenge, right? And then, but it's not enough to be dangerously out of your comfort zone, but it's like just a little bit, like you want to be pushing yourself out there. And I guess what happens with your nervous system is that it starts to recalibrate around what's scary and what's
exciting.
Safe. Yeah, or exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. I did read that as well. Like, we look at stress, just the word stress has a negative connotation, but sometimes stress should be looked at as excitement. You're stressed because you're not sure this business opportunity would work. You should be excited that you have this idea of something that could be insane, but we look at that as stress. So it's like, language is powerful in my eyes. Like,
so powerful. That's what they call it, like spelling, right? It's spells. I'm sure you've heard
and
that
also
before.
No one achieves anything. Well, it's not that, but like, I've always achieved my most exciting and amazing things by being uncomfortable. Like, going into and teaching a workshop to like 30 to 50 people you've never met in your entire life. But because you went out and did that for free, you've now created a whole workshop where you can help people. In the UK, I went back for a Christmas holiday, and my mum's like girlfriends were like, whoa, like your account's massive. How did you grow it? And I was getting the same question from like 5 people at one dinner table. And I was like, surely there's a market for this. So I sat down with them and I said, let's just have a cup of tea. We'll do it in the house of like my friend's house. And then she put it on Facebook in like a group that she had. And then she messaged me and she was like, just to let you know, Courtney, I've got like 25 women interested that all own like a really small business. And they're keen to come to the workshop on Tuesday, but we're going to have to do it in like a studio. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I don't even have a workshop. I don't have a workshop put together. I just told them I would help them as like a chilled tea party.
Yeah, okay.
Because of that, it was out of my comfort zone. I put together a whole workshop of my knowledge, and now it's a product that I sell, and it's a part of the 8-week program. Without going out of my comfort zone, I wouldn't even have some of this right now.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? I mean, there's so many client projects that I've taken on, like big things, that when I take on the project, I'm just like, I don't know how the hell I'm going to get this done, but I trust myself
to do it.
I know that I'm not going to let anyone down.
Yeah.
And if not me, like, you know, I know that the quality of the work that I deliver I'm going to make sure that it's on point.
Yeah.
So it's like, in whatever way, I'm just going to work it out. I don't know if that's a South African thing, because I feel like South Africans are quite resourceful.
Yeah, we're good problem solvers.
I think so
Yeah,
too.
we are.
Elon Musk as well, by the way.
But that's also going back to the now, not how.
Yeah.
If you get fixated on how to do something, you'll just never do it. So even if you do it wrong the first time, if without doing it wrong, you won't know what's right. You've just got to do it.
That's right.
So don't worry about the how to do it. If your client says, my niche, so my clients come to me, my niche is Taekwondo. I know the tools to grow your account, but some of them come to me and I think, I have no idea what you're saying right now. But it's not I don't need to know what you're saying. I trust in my knowledge and my tools that no matter what niche you come to me with, you can still be successful. You can still grow your account. All of the tools work, but I don't have to understand their niche.
No,
I've accepted that
actually,
it's not my niche.
You know what? I think that that's actually better, because you bring objectivity, right? If you don't understand something, you're not in the weeds, you're not in the details, so you can actually give like a level of feedback, which by not understanding, you can ask clarifying questions. So if you do understand, it's going to make their content better or their brand better.
Well, it makes me better. I learn from my clients.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing here. What would you say to somebody out there? All right, just wait for this very noisy. I don't know if the microphones will pick that up too much, but
I don't know.
these are pretty good mics. These Rode mics, actually, pod mics. But what would you say to somebody out there that maybe is thinking, I don't have anything to really, I don't have a niche, I don't have a product to sell, like, social media, like, is it really worth it? Like, someone who's kind of like tentative to growing a personal brand, like what would you say? Is it for everyone? Like, do you think everyone has
something to offer, but not everyone has that entrepreneurial mindset of knowing how to do that. Some people are very content to actually just work for someone else, work a 9 to 5 and go home and they're happy.
But do you not think that now, like, personal branding, like, when you hire somebody these days, surely they look at your Instagram, they look at your podcast, they look at your TikTok, they're going to look at all these things, right? So would it harm, really? Like, I feel like you can't really escape it in a way.
You can't escape it, but you have a different mindset. You're talking about it as if like everyone has your brain. But some people hate social media. Some people don't want anything to do with I don't want to share about my life. I'm happy to just go into work, do my thing and come home, be with my, husband, my kids. They're happy to do that.
Yeah.
The people that are on the fence, they need guidance and they're scared to invest in someone that will actually give them answers or question, what do you actually want?
I mean, I guess maybe it's like some people don't understand the potential of it, right? It's like, what does having a strong personal brand and social media following or a strong voice, what does that actually enable for somebody? Like financially, lifestyle wise, like
Everything.
talk to that.
There is endless possibilities when it comes to social media. Social media is a great source of income. Income can allow you to live the lifestyle that you would like, to be able to live in the home that you want to live in, your dream home, provide for your kids, travel. Also, just working for yourself gives you independence. You could, honestly, the possibilities that end is like income, whatever it might be. Whatever you want, social media can actually give you the opportunity. No matter what occupation you've come from, you can turn that into an online business. Passive income, when you go to sleep and you wake up and you've made $1,000 in your sleep versus having to go out and work an 8-hour day, 5 days a week to earn $1,000. For me, I want to live my life. And it allows me to do that.
I think like people think it kind of traps you, right? But I think it can kind of give you a lot of freedom. I mean, I haven't hit the mark with social media yet, and I'm definitely learning. I've been learning a lot from you, and it's been very interesting. Like as well, like watching what goes on around the gym, and like all these big fighters that come through with their social medias and their managers and everything like that. Obviously, it's a very powerful tool. I mean, like, would the UFC be what it is without social media? Probably not.
No.
Probably not.
They have, I think, like 4.7 million followers on Instagram.
Yeah, and you have a look at some of these fighters. Like, there's another one. I think John Jones has got like 8 point something. You know, the 8 point something million. Like the personal brands probably have more of a following than the than the UFC itself.
Because you don't connect with the UFC. You connect with the person and that sport, and they have something to offer.
It's like comic books, right? It's like, do you connect with Marvel or do you connect with Spider-Man or Batman?
And why?
Yeah, because
they all have a story.
They all have a hero's journey.
You got bitten by a spider and bam.
Well, it's all those stories, and everyone has this within their life too. And we use this a lot for branding. Is the hero's journey? You know, it's a storytelling, it's a lot. They use it a lot in Hollywood. It's like you leave out into the thing. You discover some challenge, then you meet the master that's going to help you overcome the challenge. Then you become the holder of this wisdom, and then you share the wisdom. Right? It's like, but everyone has their own hero's journey of some challenge that you've overcome, and like. Tom Nosk, he's an interesting one too on social media, and we've looked into his stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I want to ask you about the niche thing in a second. But before I go there, you know, Tom Nosk is an interesting one because he repeatedly says that his niche is him 5 years ago.
Yes.
So he's overcome some challenge, and he's saying he's hitting like 100K months at the moment.
Yeah.
With selling digital products to himself 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So he's overcome some challenge, and he's got some golden nuggets to share, and he's developed a process to be able to deliver value to those people and show them how to do that also.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And he just does his face to camera things, right? But he also has this Iron Man thing. So it just goes to show you can also bring in your own flavor to it all, like
that's his content pillars.
That's his content pillars.
Yeah,
and he is very vocal about not having a niche. And you agree or disagree with this, and to what extent? Because we've spoken about this a little bit.
Yeah, but he does have a niche. Whether
he has a niche. But what's his niche, you reckon, Tom Nosk?
Oh, it's
like creatives, right? Or actually, no, it's everyone. He has like electricians. Remember we went on that webinar? It was like electricians, like, chefs, mechanics. Like he had all these different people who were trying to build personal brands, and he was...
But he's helping them create personal brands, right?
Yeah, is that a niche?
That's his niche.
Yeah.
I don't just work with Taekwondo athletes and martial arts athletes to create the life that they want. I have all sorts of people coming to me. Like, that is my niche. My niche is to help individuals. He would have started off by a specific niche, gained experience, and then would have expanded that. So that's like everything in life. You start off with something and then you expand, you get more knowledge on it. You can actually broaden your clientele. He's so big now that because he has a framework that works, same as me, social media works for everyone if you just do it the right way. It doesn't matter what niche you come from, but that is my niche.
Yeah.
My niche is to help people grow their account. He might be saying, for example, don't niche down. So niching down would be, I am only going to be a social media mentor for martial arts athletes.
Yeah.
That's different. Some people need to do that. Let's say you're talking about women's health. You can't actually broaden then to men. That's not within your niche. But if you were to niche down, you could be like, I'm going to help menopausal women in their 40s to 60s.
Yeah, yeah.
That then, obviously, when you look at scaling a business, you're going to have a less clientele to reach out to.
Yeah.
But he still has a niche. You're still helping. Yeah, I think Tom Nosk has a niche. I understand where he's coming from.
You heard it here first. Tom Nosk has a
Coming
niche.
for me now. But he would have started with something, with a even more specific niche, and then broaden.
Yeah, and I think the thing about him is that he's very he's vulnerable. You know, like he's authentic and he's vulnerable in his content, and I think that's what people are really missing. It's like, just be real, man. And I think that's something that Tom Nosk does really well. He's not trying to like not be him. He's not trying to be somebody that he's not. You can really feel he really means what he's the message. He really believes in his message.
If you look at successful accounts, it typically is people that are vulnerable, that will tell their actual story. So not just show the highlights of their day, but show like, you know, the lows of their day. Also, he is an athlete as well, you know, so he talks about he will post content. That's one of his neat content pillars. Is he'll post content around sports, and he might have like 10% of his following might just be because they enjoy long distance running, or you have different followers because they relate to you in different ways.
Yeah.
So people relate to my account, which is completely like Taekwondo related, but because I've gone through gut issues and I've openly shown my experience of, you know, the weight gain and all this stuff, people message me for advice around like nutrition and how to get on top of their gut health. I'm not certified in any of that, but it's because they can relate to me that they've come to me for that advice and now follow me because I'm just another human going through a problem that they're going through too.
Yeah. I got to give you some Shilajit too, by the way. Have you heard of that?
No.
It's like a fulvic acid. Like it's like fermented like plant material from the Himalayas. Like they like find it, like the monks used to eat it, but it's really good for your gut.
Delicious.
Yeah, it's like tar. It's like tar, but
Nice.
it's really good. I'll have to give you some. Okay, interesting. And what about some accounts that like who's really good to listen to in this space around personal brands? Who are some of the people that you think are giving good knowledge?
Good knowledge. So I'm not
Obviously the Taekwondo
technician. Yep.
But you don't really put much social media training on there, do you?
No. So I haven't needed to because the referrals I've had from the people doing the course has been enough.
Yeah.
So I only take, 5 clients a month, and those spots get filled really quickly from word of mouth.
Yeah.
And the reason I only have 5 is I want to give people 110% of my effort. I could take on more than that, but I don't want to.
No, yeah. You want to keep it good quality.
Yeah, good quality. But in terms of accounts, I'm not sure if it's accounts, but books that I have read that have really helped me is Noah Kagan, which is the $1 Million Weekend.
Yep.
That's for people where they have that vision of like some sort of product or idea or wanting to make money online, but they don't know how to come up with the idea. They don't know how to validate the idea. I sent $1, by the way, to Noah Kagan because he
sent him $1?
He sent me $1, sorry.
There we go.
Yeah,
I told you she was a hustler. Don't be sending him $1.
So he has challenges which really actually make you walk up to the water and put your toe in it a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, he puts challenges out there that when you go and do it, it makes you uncomfortable, but after you feel a sense of like accomplishment. One of his challenges is to go and ask a friend, a family member to ask for $1. Say, I'm opening up a business. Can I have $1? But don't say anything afterwards, because we tend to come in and we're like, but it's like, just ask them for $1.
I don't
Be
know.
uncomfortable.
I did this yesterday. I posted on the story. I want to try and get each episode of Design on Purpose sponsored, have a featured sponsor, because like I said, it takes so long to cut it up, but I can get it done at a studio here and I'll be able to produce more. So it's like, like just putting it out there, right? Just asking,
Being afraid of rejection is, oh my goodness.
Did you hear that chicken?
Yeah. Being afraid of rejection can really like limit your success. If you can't ask for money and you have a product, then how do you expect to sell that product? You need to advertise it. You need to be okay with people being like, I can't afford your product, or I don't want to give you money. I don't have that money. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like if you can't ask for it, you really are going to be limiting.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's it. I think that comes down to that self-worth piece. Yeah. Doesn't it? And obviously the Roosters have no problems with that.
Yeah, they're cutting us off now.
Yeah. So I know you have to get to dinner. It's actually Courtney's last evening in Phuket before you head out back to Australia.
Yeah, going back down under.
Yeah, and so you've been very kind to give us some time, especially packing up your life here in Thailand. But I'm sure we'll see you.
You'll see
me
here
soon.
It's not a goodbye; it's a see you later.
Yeah, it's a see ya later.
That was very Australian. See you later.
But and what's next, Courtney? Like you're moving back to Australia. Obviously. It's a bit of a different culture over there, a bit of a different opportunity in terms of you've kind of really like milked it here, hey, with the social media, and especially with such a great access to some of these amazing people we've got at the gym. What's the next chapter for you look like, or are you just kind of
next chapters for me is definitely I want to get my head down. I want to work really hard. This lifestyle is great, but I do need probably more structure.
Yeah.
And I also do have a vision, and I know a lot of people out in the US. So later this year, I do want to go and meet all of these amazing athletes and collaborate, and these directors that want to film and create some amazing content. But also I love traveling.
Yeah.
And yes, being in one place gives you time to really knuckle down and work, but I want to do that in Australia for the first couple of months, really create a platform even bigger than what I have now to go and do more. I want to see more. I want to be able to go and meet these people and create some really good connections in people that, I share the same passion with. The gym is great, but there's no one here that does Taekwondo. I've met like 2 people in the last...
Kicking to no one.
It's crazy. We're at, a Muay Thai gym where they MMA and it's crazy to think... It's very rare to come across someone that's like, let's just go straight in with some Taekwondo sparring. And I do miss that. But
there's a lot of short people around this gym too.
Yeah, I need some more long legs, daddy long legs, let's go. That,
oh my gosh,
is a rooster. Come here.
Hey guys. We're closed today.
Excuse me. Yeah, so that's the next chapter, but it's been great.
Yes. And you've talked about your online program. Mm-hmm. So where can people find you, and how can people book onto your online? How can people book onto your online program?
So I mentioned before I do have an 8-week online program. It contains 8 different modules, and I do only take 5 clients. So the next cohort starts in June. It is there. We know. And you can go onto at Taekwondo Technician and just DM me. All of my contact details are on there, and first come, first serve. Honestly, like it's pretty hectic. Yeah, and if people have any questions or any doubts, I'm an open book. You can ask me anything, and I want people to feel comfortable and make sure that they're ready to take that journey as well.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, and I didn't get to ask you that question either, but maybe we can do it another time. But there was one thing actually. No, I have to ask you about it. Just sorry, we'll go back to the ending. Yeah. Just one thing I have to ask. You did something very risque recently, right?
Yeah.
You did the pole dancing
Oh.
Taekwondo clip, and I wanted to ask you about this because I thought you would have gained quite a lot of following from that,
Yep.
but it was actually quite the opposite.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that clip just really quickly, a couple of minutes, and what happened there?
So my friend here, her name is Sarah Scott Pole, and she owns a pole dancing studio here. She runs retreats. Would definitely check it out. And we wanted to collaborate because I love diving into different sports. I can move my body. It doesn't have to be in a violent way. So Sarah and we met up one day and we decided to do some moves. She taught me some moves. We did a bit of a funny reel where I guessed some of the pole dancing moves. And I did a transition reel, which I do all the time. So it could be like from normal clothes to my dobok or sparring gear. And I dressed up in typically what you would wear for pole dancing, which I don't think is, a lot of people look at that as in like a sexual way, but it is to empower women and to make them feel good. And it is incredibly hard. So for people out there that think it's easy, you are wrong. If you want to go climb a pole, like go and do it and record it. And yeah, you'll be
shocked. A lot of people do not look hot doing that.
I struggled. The only thing I could make look decent in my eyes was a kick, some sort of kick with my legs. So the reel, I did a transition reel in quite a raunchy outfit, I guess, with some heels. And I lost a lot of followers from it. I got a lot of hate comments being like, wow, we have no respect for you. You've got no respect for yourself. So I lost a lot of followers, but I don't have any shame. I enjoyed the creating and trying a new sport, and I would totally do it again and record 5 more videos. I have more videos I just haven't posted yet. I do need to edit them.
It's interesting that, isn't it? People can be really nasty online, and that's maybe one of the reasons why people don't get a bit scared to put themselves out there. But you got to persevere, got to keep be
confident,
keep going with it. But anyway, so sorry, I had to jump back to that. I had to ask about that. But so you got your 8-week online course.
Mm-hmm.
People can find that at Taekwondo Technician.
Yep. At Taekwondo Technician, and I do have TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. So any of those platforms, just drop me a message, and we can go from there.
Yes, and once again, thank you for listening. If you've made it this far to the end with all the roosters and the animals and people walking through here. Yes, Design on Purpose podcast. Like and subscribe. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm definitely going to be aiming to get some more regular content out now that I've worked out how to do the setup here. And yes, you can find us on TikTok at Design on Purpose, on Instagram at Design on Purpose, and you can find me, Rixley, host of the podcast, at Rixley on Instagram, and Captain Rix at Captain Rix on TikTok. We'll post the links below the episode description. If you are listening on Spotify, definitely recommend going over to the Instagram and at least looking at the reels to check out the
Thailand scene we've got going on.
The bit of the scene we've got here. But yes, thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the pod. Thanks for coming on the show, Courtney.
Bye. Ciao, Bella. Oh my God.